power my entire house off the BLUETTI APEX300s. Boom! Now we're powering my entire house off of both of the BLUETTI APEX300s. So our grid down simulated test starts right now at 10:14 a.m. Now, I do have to mention real quick that this test may not be 100% fair because today is going to be one of the hottest days of the summer, and we're supposed to get temperatures, the real field temperature around 115 degrees. I think the regular temperature is going to be around like 98 or 99. It's just going to be super, super hot, and my air conditioning is going to run a crap ton. So we are really going to put these to the test. So it may or may not be 100% fair. Okay, so anyway, all right, now we're gonna take a look at the app, and since these are paralleled together, it shows up in the app paralleled together as well. It doesn't show up as two separate units, so that is pretty nice. So anyway, right now we're sitting at 98% state of charge. You can actually click on that and it'll give you, your group. There's a total of 4. That's basically because we have 2 expansion batteries and 2 power stations, okay? Basically, my house is running 1.7 to 1.8 kilowatt, which is pretty high right now, but I'm guessing everything has turned back on since we, shut the grid power off and then turned everything back on. So my water heater is probably on, and the 2 full-size refrigerators and a mini fridge and everything else. Once that stuff kind of calms down, my draw, of course, will go down. All right, so anyway, this is kind of cool. And of course, we don't have any solar or anything like that connected because we're gonna pretend that this happened at nighttime, okay? So we'll just continue on from there. Again, you can see, you can click on solar. We don't have anything coming in. I'll just show you this for an example. Grid power, of course, we don't have any grid coming in, but we are going to test out the pass-through with this as requested from the last video. And then of course, if you want to click on the loads, you can see we're doing on L1, we're doing 1338 watts, and then on L2, we're doing 434 watts. I think that's because a lot of my computer system is on and running over there, and it might be the same side as the refrigerators. I'm not sure. But that's how it sits right now, which is kind of cool that it shows you L1 and L2 separately. And we can scroll down here and you can see it says HA1, that is the hub A1, which we connected to right down there, and the switch is on. So that's pretty much all we have on the app right here. All right, next thing I'll do real quick is I'll run around the house just to show you exactly what is being powered, just to give you kind of like a general idea. And I'm hoping while we walk around, we will start consuming a little bit less as things powered down. All right, so starting back here, we have 3 LED lights on the ceiling, and then there are 3 more down here in this part of my basement. All right, also down here, we have the all-important beer fridge right here being powered. There's actually a little computer right there being powered. We have a mini fridge right here. And back here, of course, we're gonna have my entire computer system, which is probably drawing quite a bit. We've got 2 LED lights up here, and then there are 6 across the ceiling right back there. On this wall back here, I've got a bunch of camera stuff being recharged. And then right down here, I have all my drill batteries and all that kind of stuff being powered. At the bottom of the stairs, we have 1 LED right here. Going up the stairs, there are 3 LED lights in there and 1 right there. In the kitchen right now, we just have the 2 pendant lights. The stove, it's mainly just the clock. We've got the cat's drinking fountain. We have our upstairs fridge, of course, being powered. Oh, there's actually 1 little LED light on right there. In the dining room, there are 3 LED lights on up there and 1 right there. And down this hallway, there's just gonna be 2 LED lights up on the ceiling, and then in the bedroom there's going to be 2 alarm clocks, and that's pretty much it back there. And in the TV room, really the only thing that's being powered in here is going to be my cable modem and router and a little tiny computer in these bins right here. And we have a cat being recharged right here. And that's pretty much it, I think, except for the garage, which would be the garage door opener and maybe like another tool battery charger and stuff like that. And we are still drawing, if you can see it, probably not, 1.8 kilowatt. And I am not sure why yet. It has to be the refrigerators and my computer stuff and the water heater. Hopefully those will calm down here shortly, but if they don't, that doesn't really matter because that's what this video is about, is testing the Apex 300s in a grid outage. And that's what we got right now. So basically, I really wish the things would calm down because then I could give you a little bit more accurate reading for if we just kind of power down literally everything and just kind of power the minimum loads. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm gonna try to power down all the non-essential things to give you an example, you know, runtime, stuff like that, if you were just kind of powering your minimum loads. So give me just a second. All right, I went around the house and turned off basically everything that would be non-essential minus, you know, like the phantom power stuff, like my drill batteries, stuff like that. I left on the 2 lights here in the kitchen. The 2 refrigerators are on, the mini fridge is on, and now of course my furnace fan is on. It's attempting to run my air conditioning, but I'm not letting it because I have the circuit breaker turned off right now. Right now, we are still drawing 1,000 watts, and that is basically my house resting with all of those items on. Now, once the refrigerators turn off, you know, in their on and off cycle, and the furnace fan is not on, this is gonna go down to roughly 540 watts or so. That's where I've basically seen my house sit at. Now, looking at the app, you can see that right now we're drawing 1,000 watts. And one thing I did notice that I don't see on the app right here is how long the runtime is when we are paralleled together with the 2 units. So in order to know our actual runtime, I believe we have to go back downstairs and take a look at the Apex 300s. All right, so down here at the Apex 300s, I did not turn on any more LED lights because I have a battery powered light on down here. So if you can take a look at the app, we're drawing 1,000 watts. And if you take a look at this one down here, we're drawing roughly 550 watts. And same thing up here on this one, we're drawing 550 watts. So they are drawing pretty equal. And also you can see the actual runtime. Up here it says 9.9 hours, and right down here it says 9.7 hours. So both of them are pretty equal. All right, so as the load goes up and down, of course, the runtime that shows here is going to change with it. All right, next part of the video, we're gonna start powering just a bunch of various loads because we already went over the absolute minimum, at least for my house. I have roughly 10 hours at 1,000 watts, okay? Next part of the video, we're gonna power a bunch of various loads. One of them will be a simulated pot of coffee. I'm just going over the old grounds because I already had coffee. It's just an example of something that you could potentially power, okay? So we will do this real quick. All right, we have 12 cups. And we will turn that on and get that going. All right, so if we take a look at the app, we are up to 2,000 watts. All right, so we're gonna let this run. Next thing we'll do is step in time and use my really old microwave and let that run for 2 or 3 minutes. And while that is running, we'll go ahead and just turn on the vacuum cleaner just to see what happens. And we'll just set that on 3 minutes. All right, if we take a look at the app now, we are at 2.7 thousand watts. And since we lost power, I forgot to turn on this air filter right here. Okay, I am going to plug in a vacuum cleaner just for the hell of it because this is what I do in every single one of these videos. We're starting out at 2.7 to 2.8 thousand watts. Here we go with the vacuum cleaner. Now we're at 3.8 thousand watts. No problem. All right, next thing we'll do is turn on the TV and I'll just play a movie in the background. We're just gonna simulate maybe you needed to entertain some kids or maybe you needed to keep an eye on the news for the storm, etc. So that'll be this part of the test as well. So I'm just gonna throw it on Netflix real quick and just pick a random movie and let that play. Time now is 10:47 a.m. So we'll let that run. And if we take a look at the app, we are drawing 2.8, 2.9 thousand watts. There goes the microwave that ran for 3 minutes. And with the microwave gone, we have dropped down to 1.8 to 1.9 thousand watts. All right, looks like we might be done making coffee, and we've dropped down to 806 watts. And I did put my little Nebo Slim Mini on my pocket right here for whenever we go down into the basement and there's no lights. Next thing we're gonna do is obviously skip all the small stuff, and we're just gonna start going straight to the big guns, all right? So next thing we're gonna try is the dryer. This should pull around 5,000 to 6,000 watts. All right, right now we're drawing roughly 844 watts. I do have a couple lights on down here, so if the lights dim, we can see that. All right, we're gonna go ahead and try the dryer, and I'll make sure it's on the highest heat setting. Here we go. And it did that absolutely no problem. There was a slight little flicker, but not much at all. So as you can see right now, we're drawing 6.2 thousand watts, and I can barely hear the fans over there on the Apex 300. So I'm gonna walk over there. Hopefully you can hear it over the dryer. And my microphone is right here. So I would be about a foot away from this one right here. This thing is super quiet. Super, super quiet. I'll even duck down here so I'll be in between both of them. So my microphone is about a foot away. Super quiet. Like, I think you could sleep with this. Well, not sleep with it, but I think you could have this in the same room where you're sleeping, and you'll be just fine. It would be just like white noise. Nice. Again, not that you would probably be drying clothes, but you could. Okay, so it does this, no problem. Alrighty, next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna skip right to my 4-ton air conditioning. However, it does have a soft start, and I'm pretty sure this is gonna do it no problem. So I'm gonna flip on my air conditioning circuit breaker because I turned it off so it wouldn't just randomly turn on. So we're going to turn on the air conditioning. Okay, fan's gonna kick on. Little tiny flicker, the air compressor's on. Nice. Okay, so now we'll just wait for this to update. Now we're drawing 3.9 kilowatts, so just under 4,000 watts. And you may or may not be able to see it on here. If we, just left the air conditioning running all day, because that's probably going to happen today because it's going to be so hot and my house isn't insulated worth a crap. At this current runtime, each of them say 2.3 hours from 84% state of charge. Okay, so that's just to give you an idea that you can run your air conditioning. Of course, it's just going to take a ton of power. Typically what I do in a grid down situation, and I don't have any of my other off-grid system type stuff, and I am using this type of stuff, that's what I'll do is I'll just turn off the air conditioning circuit breaker and just use the furnace fan so I can circulate all the air that's in the house. That's pretty much what I would do and have done in the past. Okay, so it runs the air conditioning just fine. I am going to turn it off because we're going to go upstairs and try the stove and see how high we can actually get this, because the stove, it can draw a lot of power. All right, now we're going to power the stove just in case you're in a power outage and you have something in the oven or you're cooking dinner, etc. This is just an example to see if we can power the stove. So we're going to start with the big burner right there, and we're just going to send that right to high. We might actually get to the point where we can shut these down, because the stove, it can draw a lot of power. All right, so with the biggest burner on right here, we're now drawing 3.6 thousand watts. And I'm just going off of the air conditioning runtime, so we could probably run it at the 83% state of charge for around 2 or 3 hours. That's if the actual burner would stay on, the entire time. But again, it does turn on and off, so it'll last a lot longer. So you can run at least one burner. We'll go on to burner right here. Just go straight to high. All right, 6.7 thousand watts. Now, I don't know how much higher we could actually go with this. We'll probably end up shutting it down, but we do have to find the breaking point. So I'm going to put on another burner. And I have the lights on up here, so if the power does go off, of course, we will be able to tell. And we are going to be playing the on and off burner game. 8.2 thousand watts. Wow. All right, so we just turn on another burner just to see what happens. See if it blows up. 9.6 thousand watts and still going strong. Wow, I was not, oh, there it goes. Okay, so we did shut it off at, this showed 9.6 thousand watts. I don't know what the actual wattage was. All right, so what we'll have to do, we might have to go downstairs and re-hit the power button on the little parallel box. All right, so down here on the Apex 300s, you can see we have basically gone into an overload. So I'm gonna hit the AC button and see if that clears it, which it did. And now what we need to do is come back down here and hit the power on and off button. The power should come right back on. Yep, power's back on. All right, now that everything is turning back on, we're gonna start drawing a good amount of power, I believe. Yeah, so we're doing 900 watts on each unit. Total would be 1.7 thousand watts. And again, both of them are pretty equal. We're at 80% on both of them. And again, 5.3 hours of runtime from this current state of charge. And I am going to turn the AC back on so I can keep up with the heat today. Alrighty, time now is 1:13 p.m. and I think we've been running for almost exactly 3 hours. I want to say we started at 10:14 a.m. So anyway, just like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't know how fair this test is going to be because this is the hottest day and my air conditioning has been running like every 5 minutes. So we're really draining this down and we're sitting at 35% state of charge already. What we're gonna do next is I'm gonna plug it into a generator so we can test out some of the pass-through functions and all that kind of stuff. Now in the last video somebody asked if I could do the 12,000 watt pass-through or 50 amp pass-through, and since I don't have 3, I can't technically do the 50 amps, so I can only do 2. And my air conditioning just kicked on right now again, so this might be a great time to do this. So right now we just jumped up to 4.6 thousand watts, so this might be a perfect time to do that. So I'm going to plug the hub A1 into the generator right now. We'll see what happens because I have no idea what will happen. It might show up as grid. Yes, it did. All right, so it shows up as grid, of course, but that's okay. So we're pulling 2.1 from the grid right now, or my generator, I should say. And we can click on that right now. Boom, 2,100 watts total, so 1,000 each on L1 and L2. So that is pretty cool. And let's see, are we charging on here yet? I don't know if I have to set that up in here or not. I'd have to go into advanced settings. All right, 12 amps from the grid. I mean, that's fine for right now. We can leave it like that. Okay, of course, since I've never done this before, I'm not exactly sure what I need to do. But it looks like we've basically cut the load in half. So 2,000 watts from the grid or my generator, and 2,000 watts from the Apex 300. So I need to figure out why we are not charging yet. Let me go down here to advanced settings, grid self-adaptation. How about we go ahead and enable that. Under voltage settings, so you can do all sorts of different options in here. That's kind of cool. The system can change normally even when the voltage on the electrical grid is unstable due to voltage spikes, drops, or other instabilities. So if you have a very unstable grid connection, you can enable this and it'll basically keep you running. It'll smooth everything out. All right, we're gonna go to, let me go to Pro mode. We'll accept that, do a bunch of 8s in there for that, and we're going to change this up to, we'll go up to 30 amps. There we go. That's all it was my charging. So I changed it to 30 amps. Now we're pulling 4.8 kilowatt from my generator, and we're output, it's basically doing like a pass-through right now. So we're inputting 206 watts, 98 watts right down here. That's pretty cool. Let me raise that up a little bit and see what happens. Raise this up to 40 amps. Yes, we are. We're doing 300 watts on here and 300 watts on here. That's kind of cool. Huh, 5 kW. I wonder how high we can actually go. I'm just gonna raise it all the way up and see what happens. Boom, 50 amps. So now we're doing 5.2 kilowatt from the grid slash generator, and we are charging 345 watts up here and 345 watts down here. Now that's basically because my whole house is drawing 5,000 watts for the most part. Once the air conditioning shuts down, which maybe I can, then we'll see if the charging goes up. Okay, I just turned my air conditioning down a little bit. So far we're charging 450 going up, 400 going up. Oh, I'm on silent mode for charging. My bad. All right, that was my bad. I had it on silent charging mode, which basically drops everything down to roughly 500 watts, no matter what you have set inside the app. So I changed it to the auto mode. So we're doing 1440 up here, 1440 down here. I'm gonna go to turbo mode on this one. We'll do turbo mode on both. Oh, yes we can. So we're doing 3,400 and 3,500 up here, and 3,500 down here. So we're pulling from the generator slash grid 7.8 kilowatt. That is nice. Okay, that's quite a bit for my setup, but not really. We'll just leave it. So there you go. You can do full pass-through and charge as long as you remember to have the app and the buttons set correctly. So that's really cool. Okay, now I'm gonna go to auto mode, which will bring this down just a little bit. Then I'm gonna turn my air conditioning back on. Okay, grid dropped back down to 3.8 kilowatt. We're still charging at 1,400 up here, 1,400 down here. This is pretty cool. I'm pretty impressed so far. All right, so I just put one of them to turbo mode, and it stays at the 1,400 for both of them. But I believe as soon as I put both of them to turbo mode, it jumps up. So they both have to be on the same settings. It goes down to 500 on the silent mode. We go to auto mode. It's gonna go up to the 1,440 for both of them. And then if we go to turbo mode, boom, there we go. Almost 3,500 up here, and almost 3,500 down here. Nice. While we're waiting for the air conditioning to come back on, I believe in here under the working mode, if you needed to do time of use and all of that kind of stuff to, you know, save money whenever you're being charged the most for electricity, you can use this system, and then at nighttime or whenever your electricity rate is low, you can charge from the grid again, you know, kind of go back and forth for your time of use. You can set all of that up right inside of here, so you can select time of use, and then you can go in here and change your battery settings, state of charge, and all of this fun stuff in here. And of course you can set up a schedule for whenever you want to go on and off grid. So I'm not really interested in stuff like that. I'm more interested in the battery backup mode, stuff like that. But if you needed to use it for time of use, you can do that. Okay, here comes my air conditioning. Go back to the main screen. So 7,000 watts from the grid slash generator, and we're still charging at 1,440 watts on each one of these. Wow, that's nice. So we are doing pass through, no problem. All right, well, I don't really know what else I can show you at the moment. And again, like I said at the beginning, this isn't like a 100% accurate test because today's the hottest day of the year, and my air conditioning is just gonna run nonstop, which is going to drain this down really, really quick. If it was just a regular day, 75 to 80 degrees, my air conditioning would not kick on nearly as much, and you just kind of went about your normal day-to-day business. This setup right here would definitely get you through that outage. The only thing I haven't been able to show quite yet would be solar charging, and that is because I don't have a solar array set up for the low voltage. This is 11 to 60 volts right now. I do have the SolarX 4K, but I do not have the cable that connects up to the battery port, so I technically can't show you solar charging yet. Hopefully it shows up by the end of this video, then I will add it. But if it doesn't show up, then yeah, this is about as best of an example that I can show you with what I have. And so far, I would say it's doing fan-freaking-tastic. But what I can show you with the new BLUETTI Solar X 4K, it is basically a charge controller, and it also allows you to hook it up to basically your own system, your own battery bank, you know, because it is a solar charge controller. So I did just connect it up to my off-grid system just to test it out while I wait for the actual BLUETTI cable, and this is what we got so far. If you take a look at the app right now, we are inputting 1.5 kilowatt and we are outputting 1.4 kilowatt right into my off-grid battery bank. All right, so we can actually click on the left-hand little solar icon right over here, and it'll just give you, you know, a little bit more information if you wanted to see that. So we're inputting 1486 watts of solar, voltage is 274.9 volts, and the current from that array is 5.27, you know, 5.28, etc. Okay, so that is pretty cool. If we click on the right icon, which would be your battery, it's not going to give me any information because there's no communication with the battery. All right, so there you go. You can also click down here for PV generation, you know, and it'll give you some information down here. And you can also go to energy statistics, and it gives you, you know, just a little bit more information right down here on the bottom. You can also click on the power button right over here, and it gives you a little tiny graph. This array doesn't get sun until basically noon, so I get some low wattage for the first part of the day. You can actually zoom in and then click anywhere on the graph, and it'll give you information down here towards the bottom to let you know how much power you're making at different parts of the day. So that's pretty cool. If I go into the settings, if I go into advanced settings in here, you can kind of set it up for, you know, for however you like. So you can change the charge current from 0 all the way up to 55. If we back out of there, you can change the charging mode. So up here, if you had the cable that I'm waiting for, which is this upper one, I would select that. Or if I had this cable down here, that would be the XT60 cable, I could select that one. And then for down here, you can set up your voltage platform, 12, 24, 48. You can enter in your battery capacity. So I have a whole bunch of server rack batteries that are 100 amp hours. You would hit setup. I don't have any battery packs in series, so this would be like if you had 12 volt battery packs and you had 4 in series, you know, this is how you would kind of set it up. But since mine are already 48 volts, I just hit 1 and I would set that up. And then how many battery packs I have in parallel, you know, we'll just hit 12 in here, and it comes up with 1200 amp hours down here towards the bottom. And let me hit select 48 volts. Okay, now I'll just do a quick little example if you used a 12 volt battery. And then if we go into battery packs in here and we hit 4 in series, see how the bottom changed to 48 volts. You know, you can kind of set it up however you like. That would be the BLUETTI Solar X 4K connected up to my off-grid battery system. Alrighty, well, we're gonna start wrapping up this video because I don't really have anything else that I can show you, but what I can tell you is, honestly, I don't really care if you buy this system or not. What I do care is if you have a system or not. I think everybody should have a system these days because honestly, you never know when the grid is going to go out. And I don't know, I just kind of think it's important to have power, but that's just me. Again, I don't care if you get this particular system, but if you do get it, I want you to know that it works. And I know that you know that it works because I showed you practically everything in this video. The only thing I didn't show, of course, is the solar charging and stuff like that because I don't have the equipment to do it. And of course the 12,000 watts or 50 amp pass-through because I don't have a third one, so I can't technically test that. Honestly, it ran everything fan-freaking-tastic, just like it did in the other video. It ran all of those tests basically flawlessly, and it kind of asked for more. Same thing for today. One thing that still kind of blows my mind is running the stove. We're running all 4 burners at least for a good 30 seconds or so. and we got up to at least 9.6 thousand watts, which is incredible because these only put out 3,840 watts each. So, you know, you do that times 2. I'm terrible at math, so whatever that is times 2, it's kind of mind-blowing. Anyway, if you are running this in a grid outage, you know, that type of situation, you're gonna have no problems running everything in your house. You know, your air conditioning, your dryer, your stove, if you have a well pump, basically anything that you can throw at it, this will power it with ease, okay? Now, of course, if you're running the big items like your stove, air conditioning, and dryer, it's gonna deplete the battery pretty quick. Your mileage will vary, you know, with those bigger loads. But other than that, I think this is a fantastic system. And if you are interested, and if I have any sort of discount codes or anything like that, I will leave those down in the description down below. All right, well, that's pretty much all I got. If anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, or maybe you want to see something specific, or maybe I didn't show something good enough, let me know down in the comment section. If this video was helpful in any way possible, make sure you like that smash button on your way out, and I will see you on the all right, now we're going to but we basically cut